Hi there, it's Sally from Wickedy Snippets here, and today I'm going to create a hidden notepad in my Drag and Junk journal. So I'm going to create a kind of flip out wallet which is going to sit on the page, and then it's going to hide the secrets of the notebook inside it. So I want a page that's fairly plain, so I'm going to choose this one. I've got a dragon opposite, so that page doesn't need much doing to it. So I'm going to have this page, and then I've got a few kind of papers to work with. So the chief bit of paper that we need to choose is going to be the paper for the wallet. So I've chosen this piece, and I've printed on both sides, so a different one on each side. So entirely up to you what you choose for that, and you could print the same both sides if you wanted to. So I'm going to grab my cutting tool, and then I'm going to cut this piece lengthways. So first of all, need to measure. So I think I decided that I wanted this about kind of 9 centimeters wide, and I want 2 strips. So I'm just going to mark that on the page. So I'm going to make one mark at 9, and then another one at 18. And then I'm going to cut that. Okay, and then hopefully what we're left with are 2 pieces that are the same width. That's not bad. So I want this to be kind of the outside of my wallet. So this pattern will be on the inside. And I'm going to stick these 2 together. But I'm first of all going to tear along this edge. And this is going to become a pocket with this torn edge. So if you don't want to tear it, you don't have to. It could be a straight edge. Do a bit of that. And then I'm going to ink that. And then I'm just going to put a bit of glue, use some of this out of the way, glue it all together, on this edge here. So probably about, I think that's about 1.5 inches probably in, and along the bottom, so just up the sides for about 1.5 inches along the bottom. And I'm just going to stick that over the top. Okay, and once that glue's set a little bit, you want to measure down from this top edge. So this is the top of the pocket. So we want to be measuring from this edge here, about 28 centimeters. I'm just going to make a little mark there. This is not a precise thing at all, but what we want is for it to be roughly in thirds, and this to be the longest third that we're left with. So I'm going to fold that over up to the mark that we've made, and then just fold there. And then I want to make another fold, just slightly this way. So how big is that? It's probably like 3 millimeters or something like that, 3 or 4 millimeters. I'm just going to pull the paper a little bit on my bone folder down there. So what you've got is just a tiny little gutter there. Okay. And then finally, I'm going to fold where that meets this bit here. So I'm going to fold actually a little bit higher, so that, because this will be our front flap. So I'm just going to put a mark there, and then fold just slightly higher where I've made that mark. That. And then I'm going to fold here to make a pocket. So you just want to make sure it's going to flap up, and it's up to you really if you want it to be as tall as that middle bit, or slightly shorter, or very much shorter, depending on what kind of size pocket you want. So I'm just going to fold it there. And then I'm going to punch a notch out on that. Like that. And I'm going to stick that down, so just a bit of glue along both sides of that flap that we just created. Okay, so we've got a pocket here, and that will fold up like that. And then we have this strip that I cut off the edge of this, and I'd like to use that as a kind of belly band. I'm just going to cut here. Create that one, and I want another one actually, so I'm going to cut that. I'll have that way around, so you'll see this one more than you'll see this. So I'm going to, or that way around. That's really nice. One of each. Okay, so I'm just going to put some glue on either end and stick those down. So this one is sitting slightly higher than halfway between this pocket and the fold that I made there. And then this one. That one can sit kind of fairly centrally, probably. Like that. Right, so I haven't inked any of this, which I should have done before I stuck it all down, but I'm going to go ahead and ink it all. Okay, so I would have liked to have made a better job of inking that, but too late once you've stuck it down. Okay, before I go any further, I'm just going to put some bits in some of these pockets, I think. And I'm just going to have a little dragon peeking out of that one. And this is going to be hidden behind the notebook, so that'll be a little secret pocket. And then down here, I think I'm going to create another mini pocket on top. And I might put a little bit of lace in this corner here. A little bit. Stick it over the corner. Like that. Not very much, but so I'm just going to put a bit of glue over here. Angle that in that corner, just to add a bit of interest. And I'm just going to trim that off. Like that. That's pretty. And then I think I might put a dagger on that edge too. How do we want it? Just like that. At an angle. Quite like it like that, but we'll make that pocket even smaller. Yeah, let's go for it. Okay, so I'm going to stick this down, so just a bit of glue along the sides and on the bottom. That there. And then if that's right on the edge, that won't make too much difference to getting things in and out of there. Oh, nice. Love it. And then just, if I've got anything that small ephemera wise, but I think if I cut a bit out of, so this was the collage sheet, so I might just cut a little bit out of that, so it's not too distracting. So in the pocket, so I might just cut that off. There's a kind of ticket there in that corner. Yeah, so that can go in there. Oh, stuck that bottom edge very well. Nice. And then I've got a kind of receipt as well. It can go in there, and perhaps this little dragon with his egg. Yeah, like that. So we'll come back to the notebook, and then in this bit here, I think I might also put, I've got another kind of invoice. Go under there if I haven't stuck it too well. Well. Okay, let me trim a little bit off the sides. Stick that there. And then perhaps this tag as well. Give it a bit of colour. There. Okay, so I'm liking that. So we'll come back, do the notebook in a minute. So this is all going to fold up like this. So the bottom first and then the top like that. And they're going to stick the whole thing into the journal. So I'm going to put glue all the way along the sides. So I'm also making this into a pocket. So along the long edges. Whoop, and then some along the bottom as well. And I'm just going to stick that. And I want a little bit of space down here. I'm going to make a closure for it. Stick that down. Making sure that can still flap up. So that's top edge. And then in the top here, I'm going to put a tag. I'm going to put a tab on the top. I say that all as one sentence. The tag, put a tab on the top. Okay, so I've just got a little tab here, which is part of the kit, but you can cut one up from anything you have. And you just fold it down the middle and then put it on the top like that. So we need glue on both sides. And then we just on the top, fold it over. Like that. And I am going to just put a little bit of ink on there to kind of get rid of that bit on the label, which is a little bit white on my liking there. So that's going to sit in the top. And then we're going to create a closure here, but we also want to put something on the front here. So I'm going to create a kind of a cluster for the top. Have that as a background. And then going back to these, this collage paper again, I think I'm going to just kind of tear a bit out of that. So kind of squarish piece. And that's a bit big. And not square. Let's see. Put some other bits. Little saying there. Treasure's greater than gold. And I might put a flower or something on there as well. Okay, let's take a bit more off of that. I think I'll cut this down as well, actually, so it's a bit squarer. bit better. I'll ink all those edges and get a bit of definition. So I'll stick all that down. And I might also add a little bit of lace to the bottom there. So put a bit of glue along that edge. Stick it down. There we go, so that can be stuck on there now. That's that bit. So I'm going to come back and do the closure in a minute. So let's make the notepad. It's just going to go there. So for the notebook, I've printed out 2 fairly neutral pages back to back, so we can cut those up and they'll be the pages of our notebook. You can obviously use anything you've got, so old brown paper bags or any scrap paper that you have, tea-dyed paper. And for the cover, I've printed this page and then I've put something fairly neutral again on the back, so this will be the outside cover. I should have said right from the beginning that I'm using the gold edition Dragon Junk Journal kit from the Rickety Snippet shop, so I will stick a link to that below if you want to be using these pages, but obviously you can use anything that you already have. So first thing I'm going to do is cut these pages up. So I'm going to just fold in half to find the halfway point. Let's just do one. Move. So there. And then I'm going to fold that again to find the next halfway point. And then I'm going to fold it this way as well. So in the end, we'll have 8 pieces from each sheet. And so I'm going to cut those now on the guillotine. Okay, so we've got a little stack of paper and our covers. And I'm just going to see whether my stapler will go through all of those papers together. No, it won't. How far did it go? Not to worry. And what we'll do, I'll put a little line of glue between all the papers instead. So a bit more time consuming, but I'm just going to put one thin line of glue at the top of each piece of paper and then stick the next one down. There we are, that didn't take too long. Just let those dry for a little bit. And in the meantime, so I'm going to fold this over for the cover, like that. And I'm just going to hold on to the bottom and get my ruler. Oh, and I've got a little helper. And just smooth my finger into the ruler there. So then you have got a tiny little gutter again at the top. And then we can get our pages and then just put them inside. So they're a bit too long actually. I'll trim them in a minute. So it's up to you if you want to stick it just at the back here. So I'm going to put a line of glue just along the back and then push it right up into the fold. And then you can just leave that and pick one off at a time or use it as a little notebook. Or you can stick the front down as well, but since that looks quite nice, I think I'm just going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to give the bottom a bit of a trim so all those pages go inside. So there we are, that's our front cover. I think I'm going to put a little saying on there, ancient secrets. I should have to come up with some ancient secrets to put inside. Might have this little dragon egg on there as well. beautiful. And then this is going to hang. So we're going to take the back page. So you want to make sure it's properly stuck when you do this. And you're just going to slip it into that belly band. And pull it over that pocket. And there we are, it's going to sit in there, and then we've got the pocket kind of hidden underneath. So that then folds up into there, and that folds into there, and then all there is left to do is for us to make a closure for this. So I thought I'd grab one of the little rounds from the kit. So there's a little dragon reading a scroll there, and I'm going to grab a little bit of paper, and so just a strip of paper, and I'm just going to put some glue on it and fold it into a kind of square. Keep folding it up. So I'm going to fold it over kind of 3 or 4 times. That's 4, and then I'm going to cut that off. And we're just going to stick that to the back of here, so just in the middle, which will raise that up a little bit when it sits on our page. Ooh. And then a bit of glue in the middle of that. I'm going to stick that there, kind of fairly centrally. And while that's drying, I'm going to cut a strip from here. So I'm going to just cut up like that. And then I'm going to kind of cut up the 2 ends inside, like that. And put some glue on there, so stick those 2 bits down. Trim bits that are hanging over. Then I'm going to make a kind of loop of that, like this, and I'm going to stick it to the bottom of here. So kind of on there like that. I might round the corners of these. So just take a tiny bit off the corners so that they're rounded. And I'm going to ink that as well. And then I'm going to grab a bit of thread. This is just some embroidery thread that I've got. And I'm just going to lay it over the bend there, like that, and put a little bit of glue here on that end and here on that end. I'm going to put it so it's just going on that opening flap there. And once that glue is dry, I'm just going to tie a knot like this, a double knot, and then I'm going to loop it around the round there, like that. And then we've got these bits hanging down, which I might come back to at some point and make a video about making some nice dangly bits or something for it. So that's it, a hidden notepad where you can write all your secrets and another page done in the Dragon Junk Journal. I'll be back next week with another project for it, and once that video is made I'll stick a link to it on the screen so you can watch that next. And in the meantime, enjoy it and have a great week. Bye for now.